Hey there, folks. We have something really special for you today. I cannot even begin to describe how real this talk was with the neighborhood's one and only Daniel Denmark. He is a U.S. ex-military personnel who stayed where he was treated the best, which was Germany for him. He lived there for an impressive 28 years. Once he disassociated from the military, he dove headfirst into his passion, freestyle rapping, which he's extremely good at. You can catch this guy getting compliments from everybody on Tuesday night open mic events where he showcases his skills at our local jazz co-op and always brings the house down. This time, I won't spoil any more details because this is a conversation you need to experience firsthand. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you MC Daniel Denmark. And we are rolling.
Cool. Finally.
Yeah, I know, right? Better late than never.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
Good.
Good?
Can't complain.
Cannot complain.
Life is good, especially in Chiang Mai. How could it not be good?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is I always say to people, if you have something, like if it's not going well for you, there must be something going on in your own psyche,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Because externally, there's enough reasons for you to feel good in this place.
That is true. For me, it's one of the very few places, or actually the only place that I've ever lived in, where.
By the way, that mic, just a little, yeah, perfect, man. Yeah, there we go.
Not only is this place allows you to reflect more, but it gives you the responsibility of your own life in your hands. When you look at any other government construct or whatever, mostly there is a government or even a social net that says, you can do everything except this. And once you start doing this, we will intervene. Whereas here, it's still there, but it's so lax that literally your responsibility of how you want to live your life is on you. It's on you.
It's on you.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is awesome. But a lot of people can't handle that responsibility, and I feel that's when you see folks having a hard time.
Yeah. I think it's living here. I was talking to another friend about how the ambiguity and the sort of am I gonna make ends meet, or like that uncertainty it requires a lot of faith. And you know how they say it's not the shit that happens to you, it's how you roll with it. Like that requires a lot of like rolling with it.
Well, I think the secret is being able to take a step back and realize that you are the one that is giving the universe impulses as far as your life goes. And so if you feel that you're stagnant at any point in time, it's because you're not giving the universe anything to do. It's waiting for you to make an initiative. And and being, I guess, in a way, being pacified in some Western countries, you don't have that skill set because the state will do it for you.
Everything's spoon-fed to you.
You got to go to work. You got to pay taxes. These amount of taxes will be taken from you, but don't worry about this, and this. Whereas all of these aspects here in Chiang Mai, you have to be hands-on, whether it's getting insurance or maintaining your visa or finding a job or finding the best place to live. I mean, all of these things are literally on you. And for me, it's refreshing to the point where this is how it should be.
That's wonderful. And I think if you're ready for it, this is a perfect place to start because before I came here, I was on the fence between going to South America and coming to Southeast Asia. And I was like, ooh, I'm just starting off traveling as an adult. You know, before those, I mean, I did travel before. I lived in New York for a bit. I lived in Europe for a bit, but like I was a student, you know, like we had the little prop, you know, like people were propping us up. But over here, it's like I'm on my own. So I truly think if you're starting out traveling, like this is a good place to start.
Yes. Well, one, you know, and I'll say it time and time again, especially here in Thailand, humanity is a given and it's not a gimmick.
Yeah.
And you'll just find facets of human interactions that are mainstay here that, like I said, you just don't find other places. And that, along with how their economy is set up, you feel that you're living in accordance to your means, whereas in other places it doesn't matter what you have, it just does not seem enough.
Yes.
You know?
It's wired that way.
Yeah.
It's wired for you to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah. Whereas here, no one cares what the Joneses are doing.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, if you do follow any trends, it's your own delusional concept of what the Joneses should be.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful, because it's so painfully clear over here.
Yeah. And those are the ones that stick out. You could tell them a mile away.
Yes.
Because most of the people, especially the Thai people, and this is another thing that I love about Chiang Mai and Thailand altogether, is that you feel the attachment of the people to the country.
Yes.
You know, there's no spikes on park benches, or there's nothing that says that there's a specific time frame that you can enjoy this space. Even when you go to places like where we at right now, there's charging cables all over. There's no one, I've never seen since I've been here, if you buy one drink and you sit there for 4 hours, no one is going to come and say, well, can you vacate the space for other paying customers or whatever. For them, it's not necessarily the bottom line, not saying that that's not important, but it's more so of, are you comfortable?
Exactly.
Can I provide you an experience?
Yes.
And if I can, then feel at home.
Well, that's wonderful, and I'll agree and amplify by saying people businesses have internalized the fact that their success is contingent on my customer satisfaction. And that doesn't necessarily mean, like the top-notch coffee or the top comfortable like seats or anything. It means just letting them be.
Yes. And ambience.
Yes.
And what I love about Thailand is that on the outside, you're thinking that you're on the side of some busy street, and you literally walk 5 meters into the space, and it completely metamorphoses itself into something, you know, completely that is different, far and detached from what you just experienced 5 meters ago.
Exactly.
And they get me every time. They get me every time.
Have you been to Bali?
No, I have not.
I from the videos I've seen, it has a very similar vibe where like you're in the jungle and you turn the camera this way and there's like a freaking street right there, just like super busy.
Wow.
You know?
And I love that. I love when folks are able to make that contrast without disturbing the overall theme of where we are, because you know, we are the visitors within nature and not the other way around.
Exactly.
And they've gotten it. I mean, there's a lot of places here where they have seamlessly found a balance between commerce, you know, modernization, but yet reverence to nature.
Yes.
And I love it.
It's just like the commerce is growing out of the nature, in a sense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. One is facilitating the other instead of one is being used or exploited to raise the other up. You know, and you find that a lot. Folks don't care. We'll go to a rainforest. We need paper. All right. Well, this amount of trees have to go, and that's it. Well, what about replanting? Well, we'll think about that after we've reached our quota. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Let's backtrack now a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry.
From no. This is perfect. Did it take a long time for you to find Chiang Mai, Thailand?
No, not actually. Well, I had a lot of time. You know, before COVID, I was living in Germany. I was traveling all over Europe performing as a freestyle rapper, and then COVID hit.
Beautiful.
So I had 2 years just to sit and contemplate existence. And
Where were you then?
I was in a place called Landstuhl, which is about 15 minutes outside of the city center of Kaiserslautern, which is in the southwest corner of Germany. Just to give some reference points to you, geographic buffs, about 45 minutes from Strasbourg, an hour and 10 minutes from Luxembourg, and an hour and 45 minutes from Belgium.
Wow, super hub place.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And I know how long you've been, but just for the audience, can you tell how long this Germany stint lasted?
28 years. Yes,
that's how old I am.
I moved to Germany at the tender age of 21 in 1992.
Wow.
And once I got to Germany, I had 2 years left in my military commitment. And 1994, I wind up doing something that was uncommon at the time, and I got out of the United States military in Germany. Whoa. So my last day in the United States military was in Germany, and
That's
I stayed.
Crazy.
I didn't go back or anything.
So you went to Germany for military purposes.
Yes.
But once you wrapped up with that, you were
I was like, I'm staying.
Wow.
Yeah.
No homecoming.
No.
The world is my home.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And that was all built on a poster I'd seen while I was in the Gulf War, and it was a kitten that was wrapped around the stalk of a sunflower with one paw hanging outside of the pot, and it was knocked out. It was dead asleep. And the caption says that when the heart is content, any place is a home.
Can you please say that again?
When the heart is content, any place is a home.
That's words to live by, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And, just to put it on a personal note, growing up in the South where racism to this day is still prominent, by the time that I had left the United States in 1991, I had not been validated. I had not been in a situation where I was seen as the budding intellect that I was striving to be. I was just a black American. With whatever stipulations, stigmas, stereotypes that one address with that, I was that, and nothing more, nothing less. And as far as the perception from the United States, and it wasn't until I moved to Germany that I got my validation, that I was finally seen as a person.
Of all places.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Based on their historical record, you would think that would be a social improbability.
Right.
But in the 90s, not only did Germany welcome me with open arms, but it provided me a platform that I could pursue every and all dreams that I thought could be manifested. And they allowed me to do it with little resistance, if any at all.
Okay, I want to keep on this subject. I want to ask an outlandish question. Do you hate white people?
No, of course not. I'm literally colorblind in every sense of the word. My mother was born, my adopted mother was born 1923, in a time that was far more severe than anything that I could ever imagine of going through. And her words of wisdom to me at a very young age, she was like, baby, there's only two kinds of people in this world. There's folks with hearts and there's assholes. She says the rapper is inconsequential. And that's true.
That is...
You know what I mean?
You're dropping these bombs. I'm barely trying to hold on here, Dan. But I was listening... The reason why I asked this question, just this morning, I was listening to... Do you know Patrice O'Neill?
Yes.
Amazing guy. Rest in peace. He was... someone asked him, like, do you hate white people? And he's like, yes, but like I'm wired to say that because like there was like a questionable amount of pain and suffering and psychological damage that we still live through. But he made this amazing analogy where he's like, okay, like how do you know Hitler? He's like, people are, okay, he's the like devil Hitler, or like Hitler devil, you know? So much that the freaking mustache, like you can't wear the mustache anymore because it's like symbolical of that thing. And he was like, okay, for you to have white skin, for me, is kind of like the mustache. Like you're not my oppressor, obviously, but like you're wearing that mustache.
So, I get that. So here's the thing, and this might blow some folks' noodles, but the methodology behind Hitler I actually admired. I don't admire what he did.
Okay.
But the ideology behind it of being able to unify folks across a broad realm of spectrum and then to get them to move in one block.
In unison.
Yes. You have to admire that.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter, and this comes with no defense. I mean, how could I? I'm African descendant. So, saying there's no way, shape, form, or fashion that I could defend this person's action in any shape, form, or fashion. But if we could, or if someone was able to do, or even let's say our unseen masters or whatever, or however you want to place those in charge, whatever, accolades or identifiers you want to give them, if they were to do the same thing that Hitler did in a sense of actually unifying and bettering the human predicament, imagine what we could do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did this with a small margin of the world's populace.
Yes.
Imagine what we could do, if the entire world was to say, you know what, let's forget all our squabbles, our petty, this, that, and the other, and let's strive to be the best race that we can be.
I'm on board, man. Where do I sign?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so anyone who has that much sway over anyone, can be admired in some way, shape, or form. On a completely different other example, Genghis Khan, at the time of his tyranny, wiped out almost 10% of the human population, which reduced the carbon footprint. He was literally the best natural activist that we've had in the last 1,000 years. You know what I mean?
That's an opposite way to look at it.
Yeah, but the ends does not justify the means.
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? There are always outliers to what we do. But if we can take the actual aspects that are positive from those outliers and then apply them, we can move forward. Because this is the misconception, and I'll get back to the racist thing in a moment. But this is the misconception. Yes, we are a sentient race, but unfortunately, we have not reached the level of being an intelligent race.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And there's a difference there. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Sentience, yes, we are self-aware, but does that make us intelligent? No, it does not. Especially in this day and age where, to go back to the oppressor part of it, we're living in a day and age where me as an American, if I was, or let's say if you and I was to get caught in the same traffic altercation, whether it was criminal intent or anything, your handling and treatment would be different than mine.
Of course.
Now, add another layer of insult, if you would, if you were transgender, that's still, that line of thinking would still hold true. And now me, a person who does not have the same human rights as you have, not only do I have to recognize you as a human, but I also have to recognize your choice of being indifferent, whereas I can't even be seen as a human.
Exactly.
Exactly. So as a person of African descent, that's very frustrating. Does that
a lot of people?
Yeah.
And it manifests in like so many different ways.
But does that ensue hatred? No, it does not. How I deal with that frustration is I try to be the best version of human that I can, and therefore changing the paradigm of how people not only see me, but maybe how they would see other African descendants. And unfortunately, in our plight, Jewish descendants, Japanese descendants are being paid by world's governments for the atrocities that were done on them. But yet our 400 years of slavery, no one is standing up to say that we deserve any type of reparation. And now we're living in an age that now if a person is transgender, I have to give them more reverence of being transgender, whereas I don't even have the reverence of being a full-blown human.
Dude, that is so profound, because like you're saying, these like relatively new ideas, or okay, maybe the atrocities you're talking about are prehistoric or like it spans across the length of time.
Yeah.
But the level of pain that a whole couple generations had to withstand,
and still withstanding,
and still withstanding,
Yeah.
like the aftershock of the psychological, and you also have these like assholes like your grandma referred to, who perpetuate this. Like at some point they were like, all right, goodbye, homie. You know, like they were like, okay, you're free now, and like there's nothing else. Like there's no, we're not gonna talk about
and
this.
the sad, unfortunate part about it, we have been completely, and the world society has been brainwashed to, when you think of a black person, you think of either rapper, entertainer, less of intelligent, aggressive,
stereotypical,
all these stereotypical things. But then when you look at other statistics, like the general statistics of a serial killer or a mass murderer or a terrorist or whatever, and none of these things necessarily fit the paradigm of an African descendant, but yet we have been seen as everything negative.
Yes.
You know, for example, if you ride the subway in Germany and you don't pay, then they say it's Schwarzfahren, or that you rode black. You know, or you know, and all these other stipulations where the color has been associated with negative tendencies. And so here's the thing, how can you then blame a demographic for not improving itself when every time that it is made an attempt to improve itself? For example, in Oklahoma, there was a thriving African descended city that was out producing its white counterparts and other, you know, saying cities and boroughs are next to it. And so what happened? They formed lynch parties. They formed a militia. They had private planes that came through and bombed and really razed this city to the ground. And then afterwards still are saying that we are not viable members of society, and that we cannot produce, or that we cannot you know, be a part or help. And the sad part about that is, when you if you was to take the social paradigm that's in the United States right now, and you was to look at it, let's say from a business standpoint, and let's say whoever's running the United States was the personnel manager of a, you know, saying top tier company, with everything you know, levered towards white privilege and you know, white people getting the jobs, or European descendants having, you know, saying all of the rights, lights, and benefits of the country, you're still mismanaging your population. And not only are you mismanaging your population, but it is a deficit of human resources that could be used to make America great. You know what I mean? And by this one-sided outlook, it's a personnel mismanagement thing, and any personnel manager in any top tier country or company would be fired for that type of mismanagement. So then why, I mean, you know, whether you look at it from a human aspect, or if you look at it from an economical standpoint, or even if you look at it within the confines of a successful business structure, it is unprofitable to continue to persecute a portion of your society and then blame them for their lack of production. How is that? You know what I mean?
But there's obviously the prison aspect of it, and
it's free. I mean, it's not that money can't be made. What I'm saying is that there could be a redistribution of that money, so that, you know what I'm saying, you give these people, instead of a prison diploma, you give them a college degree with tangible knowledge, and not just you know, saying watered down, you know, saying resources or whatever to keep you busy and to facilitate your retention. That does not ensue intelligence, nor is it the precursor of wisdom. And this is what we have. We have a lot of college graduates who are ignorant and have no common sense. Another adage from my dear beloved angel of a mother, she said, book sense without common sense is nonsense.
fuck, man. So many of these. Like,
You know
I
what
hope
I
I'm
mean?
recording all of this, by the way. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
No, for real.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know what you think, but you know that phrase, if you can't beat them, join them. Like,
Yeah.
that's completely bullshit.
Yeah.
At this point, what we need, in my opinion, is smaller communities. So if
Yes.
you can't beat it, fucking leave it.
Exactly, and that's
Leave
what I
it,
did.
And like, kudos to you.
Yeah.
And like, this project is I mean, it's selfishly, it's for me. When like I'm 50, I could go back to, you know, April 5th, you know, right after April May the 4th. I can be like, okay, I had this wonderful conversation with Daniel. But beyond that, I think it's if one person just looks at this and says like, oh wow, okay, like I can go to places where I'm treated better. I can go to places where I can find my community, and it doesn't need to be like my community. It could be like anyone. And I can, you know, like, I don't need a freaking college diploma. I don't need anything.
You don't. You know, saying that the thing is that life is a tangible experience.
Yes.
And if you don't have the tangible skills to manipulate your surroundings, then learning theories and probabilities doesn't help you in the tangible world.
Exactly.
It gives you concepts, but unless you can convert those concepts into actions, means nothing.
Yes.
You know, and just to step back, just for a second, if I may,
of course.
just to address the folks that may listen to this and be like, well, you know, good points or whatever, but it doesn't affect me because, you know, I'm European descendant and I have white privilege and I'm American. Well, let me bust your bubble for a second. The lack of empathy in people who perpetuate this line of thinking, what they're doing is that in a way they're lying to themselves because they're living out of fear. When you know a system is made for you, and when you know that all you have to do is just to be a part and that system will take care of you, to rebel or to rebuke or to get out of that system is terrifying.
Yes.
Because now you have no idea. Because from generation, you have been taught that you can do anything that you want to do within this construct. Yeah. This is the reason why most European descendants are mass murderers, are the ones who are social rebels, because they have everything.
Yeah.
And when you have everything, it ensues almost a thing of boredom. So you're looking for other things to press the boundaries. Exactly. Because there are no boundaries for you.
Right.
Everything is enveloped and purposely given to give you the illusion that you're protected. But every time that there's a switch in government, every time there's a switch in presidency, if you have noticed, and we're talking about from the time of JFK all the way up now, every president there has been a chipping away of personal freedoms. There's
for
been,
everybody.
For everybody.
Yes.
And the sad part about it is that I know my predicament. My predicament, I wear my predicament.
Yes.
I can't wash it off. I can't disguise it. I wear my predicament every day. A lot of people who are European descendants are even fooled more so than I am.
Of course they are.
Because they don't realize that you're in the same construct that I am in. And that the way that you're being manipulated is that the system has given me your focal point to be your distraction.
I learned this so fast, Daniel.
Yeah.
Like, I was 7 years old when I went to the States with my parents, and I started kindergarten there.
Yeah.
And the first week, I had some trouble with some kids. I mean, the easiest part about America and like integrating there is that everyone's an immigrant. You know, like everyone's from everywhere.
And here's the thing: well, y'all need to go back home. What? You know, or anytime that I hear some of these right-wing extremists saying, "Well, why don't y'all go back to Africa?"
Yeah.
Why don't you go back to Europe?
Exactly.
Why don't you go back to you know, nothing against the UK because I lived there for 2 years, but go back to eating unsalted potatoes and pork, you know, saying patties. Go, you know what I mean? Go, Come on.
Yeah.
How can you say go back to where, and you came here as
That's
well?
one of the dumbest fucking arguments that I've ever heard.
And not only that, but then you say, well, Christopher Columbus was the one to discover. BS. Look here, the Vikings beat y'all out, and then the Africans beat them out.
Exactly.
So,
and I realized like white isn't white because I had some trouble with Malik. Actually turned out to be really, really cool friend.
Yeah.
This black kid who sat behind me, who was just bullying, but just like, you know, his way of welcoming or something. As a kid, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. There's in our culture. There's some of us. I have some friends who I very seldom get a good word for them, and when I do get a good word for them, I'm worried that something's wrong with them.
Yeah,
it's terms of endearment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Then like it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't stand this anymore. I saw him one day. His hand was like at the door. I slammed the freaking door shut, and his pinky like almost like fell out. Wow. And later that day, we handled it like men, you know, like I went out of school, his brothers was waiting for me, they gave me a fucking ass whooping. That was the first serious ass whooping I've ever had in my life. And, you know, after that, everything was okay, like, because I was accepted. They were like, okay, where are you from? I'm like, Middle East. Oh, you're one of them sand dudes, you know.
But we don't say that, you know, and this is you know, because a lot of people will say quick, well, black people are racist, this, that, and the other. When we say stuff like that, it's out of curiosity. It's not out of malice or I hate you. You one of them sand dudes. Hey, so how is it there? I mean, that's usually the follow-up. It's not, you one of them sand dudes, I got to keep my eye on you.
Exactly. No. It was, look, okay. So look at the next following month, I had a similar kind of trouble with Mike, like a white kid. And like like I'm in this like new realm. I need to fend for myself. I need to fight back. So like if someone pushed me, I'm gonna push them back. Of course. I'm gonna hit them. But I quickly realized that you don't hit the white kids, because I got in serious trouble. I got in serious trouble. And that was just like a bonding moment with these guys. They were like, see, dude, you know, like we handle it like homies. But like, see what the fuck happens to you when you touch these kids? And I was like, okay, white isn't white. Like, like just because I have the skin doesn't mean that.
And see, that was the whole thing. What that was that lets you know just how far the doctrinating system permeates.
And they have no idea, man. All these white people, they have no idea how much they're oppressed.
You see what I mean? And it starts from there, because now Mike thinks I'm protected,
invincible,
and I can do whatever I want to, and not only don't have to worry about the individual consequences.
Yes.
But there is somebody here that will see to it that there are, or that the consequences are mitigated. You know what I mean? So then that dude grows up and said, well then fuck, I can shoot people. I can kill people. I can
show up to the school with a fucking semi-automatic.
Yes. Because it is proven now that the system will mitigate my atrocity. And they will say I'm trouble. They will put me in a crazy asylum before they would do whatever. And here I am, I could be unarmed in a traffic situation, have not broken any laws, and they'll fire hundreds upon hundreds of rounds into my vehicle without asking anything.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? So I know my plight, but Mike doesn't know his plight, and he thinks he's protected. He thinks that, oh, this is everything that it is supposed to be, but no, it's not. Because what is happening is you are locked into a construct that you don't even know, not even where the key is, where the door is, or how finite this prism actually is.
Can you please hold the microphone closer, because people need to hear this. People need to fucking hear this. Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
You're speaking to my soul, man.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. And they will swear before Jesus and swear before their college diploma that through their intelligence I'm wrong. I have no clue of what I'm talking about.
You're the outcast crazy person.
Yes.
And like that's why I'm saying it's like these places, I didn't leave Turkey to travel. Like,
Yeah.
I left to find another home where I was treated better.
Yes.
I wanted to do the same project with the same enthusiasm, with the same drive, but it just didn't feel like the place for it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't an ear for it.
No. And you know, unfortunately, what our problem is that when we're so caught up in our own individual forests, one, it's very hard to see the trees. Two, if you want to get other trees to realize that they're in a forest, they're too busy, you know, in their own little circle.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to find people, you know, that fit in your tribe if they're not doing the work. You know,
Exactly.
and the thing is it's much easier to go with the status quo than it is to do the work, because doing the work means that you have to confront yourself.
Yes.
You have to confront your fears. You have to then evaluate things that were told to you by your grandmother or your father or your mother or by your peers, or then you have to go through and reevaluate social constructs and how they apply to you. That's work. That's effort.
And there's always the risk of, you know, you get fired.
Yes.
Like you don't have a place in society anymore.
Yes.
Yeah,
But,
it takes balls.
yeah, but for me, I've never had a place in society.
Yeah.
So it was easy.
Yeah, you don't got nothing to lose.
I have nothing to lose. And the thing that I've gained is validation, global validation.
Yeah.
And the sad part about that is that I've been validated in every part of this planet except where I come from.
That hits hard, man. It really
You know what I mean?
does.
And it is because of that past validation that we're having this conversation now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If the work hadn't been done, we never would have met.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Yes.
And
yes.
that's the crazy part about it.
Yeah.
You know, and so then why go back to a gilded cage?
Where
Why-
people don't even know how big the prism is, like
No.
where the lock, the door.
Yes.
That's a great analogy.
Yes,
by the way.
and then I'm supposed to sit across someone in the United States who you know has completely bought into this whole social construct and is so delusional. How am I supposed to even have a conversation with you?
Yeah.
How's that interaction even supposed to be like?
Yeah.
You know, because that person is only seeing me, forgive my pun, he's only seeing me as a nigger.
Exactly.
He's not seeing me as anything else.
Exactly.
You know, and I can't talk to him because he's so caught up in his fear of losing his privilege, he don't want to hear me.
And that's a fake it's like a
Yeah.
illusionary
Yes,
privilege.
it's delusionary.
Yes. There is no privilege. It's
No.
like, these people think
No.
like you said, like all
Yeah.
these people think that the system is like in favor of them.
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's genuinely not.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah.
Because you're disposable. Like for the people running this shit,
Yeah.
like we're
You're
all disposable.
You're disposable. Look here, if they're burying billionaires at the bottom of the sea and killing them on helicopters while they're trying to come visit the Super Bowl, we're talking about billionaires. You know what I mean? If they're offing them like they did Michael Jackson and okay, we won't get into conspiracy. We'll leave that alone. But anywho, if they're dropping people like this, or like John F. K. or Abraham Lincoln, or anyone who's stood up against the status quo, and both of those, by the way, got shot not because of their involvement with the civil rights movement of slavery. That's the biggest illusion there is. It was because they were fighting against the central governments, and they wanted to free the United States from its colonial contract with Great Britain. That's why they got killed. And so if the status quo is doing that to prominent people far above my station, then that lets you know your life means fuck all.
Exactly.
And because my life means something to me, I won't put myself in a position where someone else can take it just because. And that's the reason why I'm not in the United States. With my ex-wife, we were in the States 2020 during COVID, and we drove from Jacksonville, Florida to Miami to visit her daughter. She's originally from Oklahoma. And when we got to the border of Florida to Alabama, my wife is Caucasian, or my ex-wife was Caucasian. She pulled over and she was like, "Baby, get in the back seat. I'll drive us the rest of the way." And she was fearful of what could have happened to me as a United States citizen driving a car that is registered in our names, going on U.S. streets, heading just, you know what I mean?
But thank you for giving it perspective, because like if these prominent people are getting the treatment that they did, like it's justified the way she feels.
So and I'm supposed to be proud of that. I'm supposed to raise the American flag and say I'm proud to be American. Basically what I'm saying is that I'm proud to let you take my life at any given point in time just because of your perception of my existence.
Exactly.
And that's crazy, bro.
It's nuts, man.
That's crazy.
It's fucking nuts.
Not because of my existence or what I've done, but because of your perception of my existence.
Yeah. It's the brainwashing and the it goes so deep, man. It goes extremely deep.
And so unless a person has developed true empathy, it is hard for you to see my disassociated trauma. I am one of the, if not only, the only demographic on this planet who was forcibly detached from every part of my traditionalism. The folks in the United States who are of European descendants, they still have their traditionalism intact. A lot of them are still using the recipes from their grandmother when she was still living in Ireland, or when she just came from, Sicily or wherever. I have none of that. So I have I have generational trauma. And then you incorporated that with a systematic destruction of my identity, of everything that I stood for, of all the oral knowledges that, and everything that enriches a person and gives them a sense of where they came from. All of these things were stripped from me. And then when the so-called freedom was then bestowed upon me, after you have literally trolled and dredged up everything that was my identity mentally, you've taken that.
Just hollowed it out.
And you left me there and say, now be something. You're saying now be something, but at the same time, subliminally and through social constructs, you're still telling me I'm nothing.
If this isn't the biggest, I mean, like, it still goes on, like the shit's going on in Palestine, like it never ended.
And I'm not saying that to say that we have the monopoly on suffering.
Of course not.
But this is an outcrop of other stigmas, of other cancers.
Yes.
That nobody cares about. Here you are, and I have Jewish friends. Some of them very near and dear to me.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that, here you have a people that were persecuted in World War II, who have now turned around and become the persecutors, and they've gotten the world on their side. And we all know it's because of the ties. This is all generated and based out of the church,
of course.
And religion is the biggest commerce on the planet, because it's been propagating fear for the last 5,000 years.
Exactly.
And people say, well, the Roman Empire ended centuries ago.
Of course not.
No, bullshit.
Churches is the continuation of it just changed names. I mean, same way when I went to Laos, I just met this guy who was working for the UN, and I got him to admit it. I was like, isn't the UN and the development that you do just another word for colonialism?
Of course.
And he's like,
of course.
That's what it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And and the sad part about it is that people are so removed from this truth, and that they think that these are not parts of the actual cogs that make up the construct. And that's when it becomes scary delusional. Because if you're not believing that, then they have you. Yes. And you are the malleable instrument that they've been looking for. Because they can tell you the sky's red.
And you'll eat that shit up,
yes,
like eggs and steak.
Yes. And it's sad because, you know, I still feel that if we would change our focus from capitalistic undertones to undertones of the core basis of what makes us human, compassion, empathy, being able to project one's meanings and values into other and be able to see from someone else's eyes, we wouldn't have global warming. We would not have these conflicts that we have with nature.
Yes.
Until we get to the point where we no longer associate greed with happiness, we cannot we can't go on or we can't develop as a species.
It's cancer, man. Like you just said, like doing shit for profit is just cancer. Yeah. Like back we were just talking about how we can record here. Yeah. We can do anything we want. There's charging stations. I love this cafe particularly, Cool Moon Cafe. Yeah. It's right across. Like I'll just do it a plug. Like they're not paying me.
Yeah, but like you might as well because the ambience is off the chain.
It's crazy. Every time I sit here, I do editing work and whatnot, and I stay here way past their closing time, and they're just like, just turn off the lights when you're out.
Yeah.
And this is what we want. This is what we need.
Yes.
Because if everything is for profit, I mean, profit for profit's sake is just cancer. That's what we call in our body.
Yeah.
It's uncontrollable, like
mutation that eats up everything without giving anything back. Yes.
That's cancer.
And it will do that until everything, you know, but you know, in the flip
Samsung option.
Yeah. You know what's crazy though? The flip side of that, cancer is the body's evolution to break out of its own cycle.
Y'all better listen up.
Anywho, that's another conversation for a different day. But we're detached from our planet because we're running a concept that is not natural. And anytime a concept is not natural or does not fit within the universal laws, it can't function.
Yeah.
And this whole capitalism, this whole I have to pay on a planet that I was born on. Why are we paying for anything? Why do I have to pay rent when I was born here and I can't leave here? It's not like, you know, this is
you
not
don't let me go.
You know what I mean? This is not like this is a planetal Airbnb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This you can't find this on you know, trip whatever, you know. This is your home.
Yes.
This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as our science goes right now, because everything's expanding close to or at the speed of light, even if we had an engine that could propel us at the speed of light, we still couldn't get to another planet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, even if we did get to another planet, I was listening to this, like, I don't remember where, but like we're bound to the planet because let's say we start living on Mars or let's say we start living on the moon. We still need to bring some soil, some trees. Like so we need to create an Earth-like environment to so you cannot leave this place.
No, you can't. And hold on, and you know when you look at it, so what? The Earth is spinning somewhat like at 12,000 miles a second or an hour or something like that, and it's traveling around the sun at 36,000 miles an hour a second. Don't quote me on this. It's been a while since I've been to college. Please forgive me, all you nerds out there. But anyway, the point what I want to make is that our molecules and our atoms are spinning and rotating at the same speed. So we're molecularly bonded, you know, saying to the surface. Of course,
entangled.
Gravity helps that a lot as well. But the concept would be is you was to take a spinning top and you would spin it, and then you would take a piece of sand, you know, and put it on the top. That sand, as soon as it hits the spinning top, because it's not molecularly bounded to the spinning top, what's going to happen? The centrifugal forces and everything else, it's going to shoot it off. You know what I mean? So with those laws in place, and knowing that gravity and everything else, even the fluid inside of my inner ear, you know, is vibrating at the same speed as the earth is going around the sun, why am I paying rent to be here when everything in my essence, in my being, is connected to this place? Who am I paying this money to?
Generational wealth people who've been at it for such a long time. Because that's when I was like, okay, it recently just dawned on me, where I was like, okay, like, how can I even keep up with, like, if I choose to play the game of like wealth, let's say I want to like make money, and there are millions of people getting super creative with the AI, with like different business strategies.
I'm one of them. I'm in the midst of right now writing my own trading bot with Chat GPT right now.
We can get into that too.
Okay, dude, bro.
But like,
okay, just a quick segue, folks, before we go back into the rabbit hole. And I have no and I'm doing it in MQL4. I have no idea how to code whatsoever, but I'm very logical, and so I'm asking the right questions, logical questions, and chat AI has, you know, came up with 400 lines of code, and it worked. You know, I did the back testing, and I actually got a profitable, you know, from 6 months, it was about 150% profit gain. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna tweak this. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like, people get like there's millions of people just like yourself who are leveraging all these like tools at our disposal. But if you really want to challenge the status quo, which is like the generational wealth people, like,
you can't.
It's impossible.
There are monitors, there are gatekeepers. Once you pass a certain threshold, and this is where the threshold starts, and a lot of people don't even know this, that any transaction over $9,999 US or its equivalent flagged. And as soon as that transaction is processed, Interpol gets involved if it's an international transfer. So that's your first gatekeeper. Once you get to a millionaire, there's a special committee that will then send you out a specific questionnaire to ask you specific things. Once you get to a billionaire status, there's an actual handlers that come by to make sure that your trajectory is in line with the status quo. And even as a billionaire, if you're not, or if you're challenging them, they will either take your money or make you disappear.
I mean, I'm so fascinated with Escobar and the way he, if we have enough Escobars in the world, I think that would be the only way we could possibly.
Well, that and another way is literally doing what we're doing. You know, saying in this construct, what you know is what you know. Each one teach one, and if you're consciously moving about your business, then spread that.
Yes.
Fortunately, we're still at a point where that aspect of our interaction is not being controlled. Not saying that it won't soon be, because if there's any truth about nanotechnologies being implemented in the COVID vaccine, then we might be on the verge of that. If there's any truth into that. But for right now, conversations, and they realize that, and so that's why they have us locked away in our little 5x7 screen most of the time. But we have to break away from that, and we have to find the courage again to say, hello, my name is Daniel, where are you from?
There you go.
You know, and being in Chiang Mai, that's probably the most common greeting you'll get anywhere. But it's a greeting of curiosity.
Exactly.
And it starts the journey into forming microcosmoses, and there are so many here.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what drew me in here. I didn't know before I got here, but like I'm realizing how much of it and like my idea about how to create my own world is maturing.
Yeah.
And like you said, like each teach, you know, like this way of thinking will eventually liberate you and your small little group around you.
And once that small little group is liberated, they can move on to the next little group and then find out, oh, we're like-minded. You know what I mean? And the thing is that to separate human interaction is to perpetuate our indifferences.
True.
But once we break through that stigma and we start pursuing human interactions, we'll find out the commonalities outweigh the indifferences, and that is where our strength is.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, amen, man. It's like this conversation has been a fresh breath of air for me, and I truly do hope there are people who will, you know, listen, not just listen to it, but hear what's being like told here. It's not just two crazy people having a conversation. it's beyond that.
Yeah.
And just that thing that you're talking about. Whenever I guess like going to like I was living in a suburb village in Turkey before I got to New York, and that's such a stark contrast between like those two places, especially when you're a very young age. That thing you're talking about, how our differences are so there's insignificant when we look at how much we have in common.
Yes.
And we're like, oh shit, like I was doing the same stuff in my village that you guys are doing over here with all these fancy fucking toys, you know? It's the same shit. It was painfully clear to me, all of this, all my life. And I was just outcast everywhere I went because I just don't subscribe to the general way of thinking, you know? When I came to America, it was relatively easier because it's more like a melting pot, and there's still people, especially in New York, who like still have a fucking head above their shoulders, you know? Can't say the same about California.
No,
like
can't say that either, but you know, one day, hopefully.
And coming back to Turkey was also a very, very, like I couldn't really integrate back in there.
And it's hard again once you get out of your individual forest and see the trees for what they really are. It's hard to go back.
Yes,
it really is, because it's an eye-opener. It's a humbling experience, but it also allows you to see what's really going on, and that can be very unsettling, especially when you can see how illogical it is, and then try to explain that to someone and they'd be completely oblivious to what you're trying to convey. That has always been weird to me. I you know, that is a phenomenon that baffles me to this day. But it's the life that we're living in, unfortunately. I just refuse to be a prisoner of its confinements.
My sincere prayer for anyone who's listening or not, just everyone in the world, is to just try and confront these things that are just right under your nose. It's the shit that keeps you up at night. It's the addictions. If you can see past those addictions and everything that's troubling your mind, like, you will see that we're all the same. And like, it's super systematic. Anyway, switching some gears. I've been so fascinated with cipher circles. Ever since I started listening. My dad got me my first Walkman when I was in the States, and my entry to music was hip hop, actually.
Okay, that's so what's up.
Ever since I listened to like the aftermath, because early 2000s, so there was still a little bit of that gangster rap going on, and ever since I started listening to that, now, and like in hindsight, I can see that it was these cipher circles in New York, and people just like rhyming on the street. It was as if like they're channeling. It's not like they're rhyming. It's like they're channeling something, you know. And like everyone's like swaying in the same way. I would just like sit there and just fucking watch those people. So I'm curious about your MC journey.
Oh boy. So how can I put this? My MC journey, I would say, didn't start until 1985.
Okay.
I was 14 at the time. We had moved from downtown Jacksonville, which was at the time a historical part of the city, and most of the houses that were there then are no longer there, but these were hospitals, these were hotels from the World War II era, and they had became boarding houses. And so for the most of my childhood, it was me and my mother, and we would live in these boarding houses, and she would always rent 2 rooms, one for herself, one for herself, and one for me. And then it was around the time when I was about 12, 13, we decided to move to the projects, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first interaction around children my age. Because in the boarding houses, a lot of times I was the only child in the house.
Right.
You know, this were working class, young adults, older people, some retired or whatever. And this was.
Do you have any brothers and sisters, by the way?
So in some of the houses where we stayed at, it would be like 35 people in the house. And I was the only child.
Wow. Okay.
You know, I would have my own room, you know, right next to my mother, or in some of them, you know, it was an ensuite, so
Right.
I would be in one half, she would be in the other. And yeah, that was my early childhood. And in that type of neighborhood, children were few and far between. There just wasn't any, you know, saying, you know, stable households like that or whatever. So I got influenced, I would say, by a much older generation at a very young age. I mean, I remember when I was like 6 and 7, being out on the porch and listening to people who were born in the 20s and 30s and 40s speak. You know, and just those stories alone not only broadened my horizons, but also gave me a perspective that was far beyond my years.
So early.
Yeah. So when the hip hop thing came around in 85, or when I moved to the project in 85, and got around other kids, that's when the whole bug that was coming from New York, you know, hit Jacksonville. And then everybody was just trying to emulate the things that they heard.
Yeah.
You know, one of my first you know, rhymes that I memorized was LL's Cool J, I'm Bad. You know, and I still know it to today. No rapper can rap quite like I can. I take a muscle-bound man and put his face in the sand. I'm the last mafioso, I'm an MC cop. I make it say, yo, LL, and do the wop. Anyway, so, you know, and for me, it was the wordplay. It was the way that then folks like Eric B and Rakim, KRS-One, K Solo, Scott LaRock, De La Soul, Dana Dane, Slick Rick, the way they were able, Ron DMC, the way that they were able to manipulate words to not only paint pictures, but to make sense and to make a story was fascinating to me. And so I was always short. I mean, when I graduated high school, I was 4'11". I mean, I was always stocky of build, but I got bullied a lot, you know. And so I learned at a very early age, my words were more powerful than my fist, even though my fist wasn't that bad.
I could swing.
You know what I mean? Because you have to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And it fascinated me how words not only could diffuse a mood, if you will, but also
You can disarm people.
Yes. And for me, it was finding a power that I did not know that I was in possession of. Yeah. And again, associating these with all these traumas that I spoke about before, then I had no inclination that I was suffering from these things. But
and there was an outlet.
It was an outlet. And it was a way for me to channel whatever imbalances that I had in my psyche to a way that was positive. And so over the summer of 1985, I bought a thesaurus. And by the end of that summer, I could flip to any page in that thesaurus, and I could give you a freestyle using every word on that page. And I did that because during that time, a lot of MCs would go from projects to battle to see who would be the best. And so anytime that anybody would come to Ramona Park Apartments, they would run and get me. And they'd be like, Mama Pearl, can Daniel D come outside? There's somebody that want to battle him. And the first time my mother heard these words like that, she was like, ain't nobody gonna battle my baby. I go get my gun. You gonna talk about battling? Who gonna battle? Where they at?
No, ma, it's not like that.
And I was like, no, mama. I was like, it's a rap battle. And she was like, a rap battle? What's that? What y'all gonna do? What's a rap battle? I mean, it was, you see, she was born 1923. There's no way that she had a conception of a rap battle. And I was like, it's when you use poetry and whoever got the best poetry win. And she was like, that sounds like some nonsense, but go ahead and just be back here before the street lights come on. And at the time I only had maybe 4 or 5 rhymes. And so
you still be serving people.
Yeah. but the thing is that if I ran out of those 4 or 5 rhymes and the battle was still going, I'd lost. Because I didn't have anything else. So I did the whole thesaurus thing so that I would always have rhymes on deck.
Nice.
So I would start off, of course, with the stuff that I was written, and then if I ran out of stuff or if the dude still made it through, then I could just go off in a freestyle. And a lot of times, or the more times that I would use it, the better it got.
Of course.
And it helped me in other aspects of my life. It made me a better communicator. It made me a better writer. Whether it was resumes, whether it was journals, whether it was simple directions.
This is underrated as hell. I just want to squeeze this in. Writing is, or just speaking, is the basis of all media.
Yes.
And people don't get it.
Yes. And to be prolific in speech is commendable in itself. And I don't take that time for granted. Actually, it's probably the best conscious decision I ever made was to buy myself a thesaurus.
Yes.
And so that's how it started out for me. And what has always captivated and still captivates me today with MCing and music is that I consider myself in my own humble way a wordsmith. It's just, I don't know, it's been transcending in a lot of aspects. A quick story, if you will. I was with this student man out of Wurzburg, and we went to Poland to perform for this international jazz festival. I'll speed up my speech because it's kind of a long story, but I want to get it in. So this is how the journey, or this is the mood of the journey, how it was set in stone. So we're driving, it's all dudes. We're driving from Wurzburg to Krakow, Poland, and as men do, we all have to use the bathroom at the same time.
Of course.
Something that never happens, by the way. We're all of us now are end of our 40s into our 50s, and we still talk about this night to this day. It was like
sinking up.
Yeah, for real. I mean, females do that with their periods and stuff like that, but dudes, we don't do that. If it's 4 or 5 dudes in a car, it's going to be sporadic.
Exactly.
And it's going to be over hours, because one is not going to be like, well, I don't want to stop us now because I'm a dude and I got to hold it until we get there anyway. So anyway, all of us had to stop and piss at the same time. So we get out, we walk into this like forest, and it's misty and shit like that. We look up and there's a lunar eclipse while we're taking a piss. So all of us are like, what the fuck is going on?
Y'all should have collected some samples.
You know what I mean? And it was a happenstance that was fascinating, awestrucking, and just weird at the same time.
Whoa.
So we all got back into the van.
All right.
Flabbergasted, from that experience. I mean, because who would not be?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, what's the coincidence, or give me the mathematical formulas for probability on that instance?
It's probably less than hitting the lottery.
Exactly. So we continue on. We get to Krakow. We spend a night at the drummer's father's house. He was the promoter that got us the gig in the first place.
Gotcha.
So the next day we go into the venue to set up. So I'm helping. I'm carrying the keyboard in, and this Polish guy stands in front of me, and he starts pointing at me, and he's saying all of these things in Polish, and I'm like, well, I don't understand Polish, so you could basically insulting my grandmother. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, but he was standing in front of me and he wouldn't let me by. And then eventually he pointed over to the corner of the bar. And as I looked over to the bar, there was a guy maybe 5'7", 5'8", bald head, had the swastika tattooed on the side of his skull. And he was sitting there with this sadistical grin, flipping a butterfly knife.
Oh, shit.
And so, me being the only African descendant, everybody in my band was German besides the Polish drummer. I had no backup. And in that moment, I seriously thought that this would be the last day of Daniel Denmark. How else was I supposed to perceive that situation? I'm living in Germany, but I'm in Poland.
Yeah.
I'm some 700 kilometers away from anybody that I could, directly call, confront, or, that would be there and have my back.
Yes.
Not saying this, anything bad about the folks in the band, but they were German students and they were passive.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there wasn't no help there. And not only that, but they couldn't even understand the dynamic or the situation that I was in. In that moment.
Yes.
I mean, they seen it, but they was oblivious.
Yeah, to the seriousness of this.
You know what I mean?
Of course, yes.
And so I did what any person in my position would do. I bluffed. I dropped the keyboard and I said, I don't give a fuck how many motherfuckers up in here. The first motherfucker that steps up into me, I'm gonna knock his ass out. If you want to be the first, step up, motherfucker. And it had gotten so, excuse me for all those cuss words. I hope anybody who is underage or have not heard language like that before, please forgive me. Anyway, so it got so heated that the owner basically said, because the bouncer of the club was like their little Fuhrer. Yes. So basically, he told their Fuhrer, he's basically
what
like,
the fuck did you get yourself into,
man? Hold on. It has a good ending, folks. So he had talked to the Fuhrer and basically said, y'all can have the nigga after the end of the show, but we've paid for them to come perform here. Chill your boots.
You use the N-word even?
No. Okay. But this is my perception. Got you. Because the dynamic of the situation changed so radically.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It went from being a hostile environment to I'm going to get fucked up at the end of this evening environment. Everything got, saying calm. There was these smirks, these ironic smirks on faces. You know what I'm saying? As if, yes, it's okay. You got your reprieve now, but we got you at the end of the evening. So I'm nervous. I'm not only nervous.
Peace in that situation.
I'm not only nervous, but I'm fearful for my very existence. So, to say that I did not perform with my all would have been a mild understatement. I sung as if it was the last performance that I was gonna give.
Damn.
And but this is the beauty of life, people, and this is also the beauty of existence, and this is how the universe facilitates your actions. So after the first set, this big skinhead dude walks up to me, and in broken German, he says, I'm a skinhead, I'm Polish, I'm stupid, y'all music was awesome.
Bamboozled.
My jaw dropped to my kneecaps. I was still wary of the situation, but I can tell you I had never been so relieved in my entire life to hear those words, because I thought I was going to experience something that I've never experienced, and that is someone trying to take my life. I had put myself into anticipating that reality. And then to hear those words, man.
You're putting me in this roller coaster. It's like 40 degrees right now, but my blood damn froze, Daniel. God damn, man.
So, me being the person that I am, I walks over to the table. And we start sitting and talking, and actually they ordered a bottle of vodka.
Okay.
So the bottle of vodka gets there, and the first thing I do, I was like, let me see the butterfly knife. So I take the butterfly knife, right hand, left hand, and I'm right-handed. Left hand.
All right. Twisting it, flipping it, sticking it.
Right hand again. I took it, I threw it up in the air. When I caught it, the blade was folded and the handles were together. I took it again, flipped it, caught it. The handle was folded, but the blade was out, and I turned it around and I handed it to him. What he didn't know was that before even moving to Germany, I used to work at what we call a flea market. And I worked for Jimmy the Peanut Man.
You ain't fresh off the banana, bro.
No. And not only did Jimmy sell peanuts, but he sold Chinese stars. He sold butterfly knives. He sold switchblade combs. All of these novelties that all the kids loved in the 90s.
Yes.
So when I wasn't selling peanuts or selling, saying Chinese stars, guess what Daniel was doing? I was playing
flicking knives
with the butterfly knife, and I had got so proficient. You think that I was a hired killer? You think?
But it's the perception.
Yes,
we were talking about this the whole time.
Yes. Yeah. Now this is how far the dynamic changed. The owner comes over and has the Führer translate to me in German and says, "Could I stop teaching this guy stuff?"
Whoa.
Because he is dangerous.
Oh.
But when this dude was about to skewer me, it was okay. Yeah. Peep the irony.
Exactly.
Peep the irony.
Dude, that is crazy.
Peep the fucking irony.
Fucking nuts, man.
You see what I mean? And I'm dealing in all of these facets of reality at the same time.
Oh, how the tables turn.
Yes. And so And this happened in 96. This happened in 1996. I was 25 years old. So I was still young as far as life and everything else. But that was the defining moment of the power of music. And not only that, but it galvanized in my psyche and my being and everything that is important, or the defining aspects of who I am. That day told me that you are so special that the universe, in all of its things that it could be doing at those very moments, saw fit to not only get you out of the situation, but also give you an opportunity to present your truth to your enemy. Because we
conspires
sat there.
To just
but
shine.
But just the realization that me, one out of 6.8 billion people at the time, that the universe saw me important enough to save my life. That was validation on a level that is beyond words. It was beyond any human validation that I could ever seek or look after. The universe saw me that special. You know what I mean? And we sat and we talked, and at the end of the conversation, I had the opportunity to sleep with his sister if I wanted to. But that was a little bit too close to the devil's den, because I was like, if I'd have
pushing the limits of this,
I'm like, if I'd have wake up and then they realized that this was only a vodka fueled reprieve that they gave me, I wouldn't want to be in that, because I'd have been in my most vulnerable. I'd have been naked in somebody's bed, and they'd have came up in there and we're not having that. So I turned that down, although parts of me wanted to have that experience. I mean, that would have been a bucket list. I had screwed a skinhead. You know what I mean? I mean, how could that not be a bucket list entry? But now I passed up on that one. But at the end of the day, he says, we will no longer prosecute blacks. We can't say the same about Jews. But as long as you are here, I'll make sure that no harm becomes of you.
That's powerful, man.
You know, and we're talking about a skinhead. We're talking about a dude who had, the sports, carved in his skull, and SKINHEAD on each knuckle. I mean, dude
Damn,
was.
how deep does it, like...
You know what I mean? He was in it to win it.
You were looking in the face of death.
Yes.
And the universe conspired to flip it in your favor.
Yes. That's the power of music, people. That is the power of music, and it is also when you have a conviction that is so strong that with no intent of harming. I just wanted to perform.
That's it.
That's it. I didn't want to be, saying the reason why somebody can't get a job, or the reason why you feel that, saying you're inadequate in your social construct. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to do that which I feel was my calling. Yeah. And because of my conviction within that calling, I was protected in a way that most people can't say that they were. And how many times that we've known through other stories that the outcome was not that favorable. So not only do I see myself fortunate in that situation, but that was for me to let me know that this path that I'm on is the right one, even if it's only for myself. And so those were, or still are, the cornerstones to me, and the way that I look at my talent, and the way that I try to present it. And that core lesson is still with me to this day, and it's also the basis of how I try to interact with people, because you never know.
Yes.
You never freaking know. And unless this happened to me, I never would have even considered that type of dynamic even possible. Because where I'm from, I would have been strapped to the back of somebody's pickup, and I would have been drugged until I'd have fell apart.
That's remarkable, man.
That.
Let's put a comma here. I definitely want to have another I don't care what people think. I need to have another conversation with you. But my battery is
it's okay, because we look, we done talked each other. We got another ear growing off of each other's head because we've talked so much. But it's good though.
Camera's on. Oh, my SD card's full.
All good.
All right, folks. See you on the next one.
Yeah, peace.